I have going on here today is a Powermore engine on a lawnmower. They're on a lot of MTD products, and it's kind of hard starting. It pops a little bit and it's very low on power. So what I'm going to do is adjust the valve lash on here. The engine needs to be cold when you're doing that. Don't do it when it's hot. The first thing we're going to do is disconnect the spark plug here and remove that. Next we'll take and remove these four 10mm bolts holding the valve cover on. Next, what I'm going to do is take and remove the valve cover there. I'm going to just use a little brass punch here. Give it a couple taps on here and it'll come off. Okay, what you're going to want to do is get yourself a feeler gauge. I believe the spec for the exhaust valve, which is on the bottom, is 0.2 millimeters or 0.08 of an inch, and the upper valve here, that is your intake, that should be at 0.15, which is 0.06 of an inch. And it is pretty sloppy here. I got 0.15 in there, and you can see it's pretty sloppy, so we'll go ahead and adjust them. What you have to do is ensure that the valve is closed when you do this. So you're going to need to ensure that the valve is closed when you do the adjustment. So if the exhaust valve here is open, then this one should be closed, and then what we'll do is adjust it on that. And to get that to rotate around, I took a piece of wire and tied the bail off so I can pull the engine over. Okay, you're going to need a 14mm along with a 10mm. So this outer nut is your locking nut. Go ahead, put our 14mm on the inner one, break loose the locking nut there. Now we can go and adjust this with our feeler gauge in there for 0.06 of an inch. Stick that in there, and we want a slight drag on the top of the valve there. And once we have a slight drag on there, seems pretty good right there, we will hold the 14mm and tighten up the 10mm locking nut. So again, with the bail, I will turn the engine over. The intake is now compressed, and now the exhaust should be closed. We'll check it for 0.08 or 0.2 millimeters. Actually, that feels pretty good, so we don't have to adjust that. We would adjust it the same as the top one there on the intake. Okay, now that I have those adjusted, I'm going to hold the motor around a little bit and recheck our valve clearance. So we'll clean our valve cover up, place that on there, and put our screws in there. Now that that valve cover is tightened up a little over snug, we'll go reinstall our spark plug here. To avoid cross threading, we'll go and thread it by hand. Then we'll put our wrench on there. And put that back on.